Hi, this is Joe again with another another review. But it's not really a review; it's more of a commentary on this one. Of course, we are now a week from Halloween. This is generally usually one of my excuse me. It's usually one of my favorite holidays, and I'll explain why. Because I like any holiday where you get free candy out of it, and I know because I always, contrary to what my father says, there's always to me it was always fun to get dressed up in costumes and go around and go trick or treating. But nowadays, because I live in a co-op in Queens, New York, and of course we usually do because usually Halloween usually comes out during the week, like it does, 5 out of 7 years, will fall out during the week, and of course we usually have to go to school on Halloween. And by the time we come back, and by the time we come back from school, which is like around usually 3 o'clock, when it was a trick or treating age, between 2:30 and 3, by the time we get settled, by the time we got our costumes on, we'd be lucky to do one building. Because we have, except for 2 buildings in my co-op, we have about 18 floors. There are approximately about 144 doors to knock on. And so we, at least most of the time, we just did one building and that's it. Which is a shame. But nowadays, my co-op anyway, now they changed everything now. It's not like the way it was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we just having to follow somebody into the building or buzz somebody's apartment with the buzzer system we had in those days, and they would let us in, and then we just go up to either the top floor and walk our way down. A couple of times I actually worked my way up from the first floor all the way up, and I really get exercise that way. Same thing if you do it, go from the 18th floor down. Sometimes I wait for the elevator, sometimes I don't. But anyway, nowadays in my car we have trick or treating in the lobbies. And we have a couple of people who live in those buildings, sit in the lobby for 4 or 5 hours, and just give out candy to the kids. Now, that bit I'm against because it prevents the people who do the volunteering, prevents kids from going into the buildings and go door to door. Well, I understand both sides of the argument because they don't want the kids in the building messing it up. I think one of the big arguments was that's why we have people who clean the buildings. We have porters who clean the buildings from top to bottom. And the problem is that they always complain. Anybody who's the porters who work on November 1st, always. And I had one porter at my building who works in my building who since retired. Every time he had to work on November 1, he always complains about kids leaving candy wrappers in the stairwells. I mean, that's his big complaint that somebody leaves some kids leave candy bars. Because the problem is that if you give, let's say, a kid a candy bar, let's say a Hershey bar, and as soon as they go into the staircase, they check out what they got, and they say, oh, Hershey bar, I go, open it up, go, and then throw the candy bar on the floor. I mean, that's his biggest complaint. I mean, you could have worse. Like dogs peeing, leaving their calling cards in the elevators and stuff. That's what you should really complain about. Or people who can't get up to the apartments fast enough, have an accident in the elevators. That's what you should complain about. Not if kids take candy wrap and throw it on the floor. That's his job to clean up the buildings. I mean, it's his job. I mean, you don't want to be cold about it, but that's his job. So he always complains about it, and that's why they came up with this idea of doing the trick or treating in the lobbies. Now, but what I do is I go down and let the kids in. I think they've been doing this for about 5. I think they're like the 5th or 6th year in a row they've been doing it. One year they skipped it, and at least in my building they skipped it 1 year. But I let the kids in, and we had more kids come into the building after the lobby thing is over than we did beforehand. A couple of years ago when Halloween came out on a Saturday, they had 12 to 5 for the trick or treating in the lobbies, but then we had more kids come in between 5 and 8 than we did from 12 to 5. I mean, it was really ridiculous. It was really silly that it happened that way. Now, for me, I thought it was always fun to go trick or treating on the weekend, like either Friday night or Saturday. You don't have to worry about going to school the next day. So one time I did, and I went to almost, I think about like 4 of the 7 buildings I did one year, and I had candy for a month, which was fine. But not anymore. You can't do that anymore because it allows you only in the lobbies and that's it. And the people who volunteer don't let the kids in. Technically, they're supposed to let them in, but it's neither here or there. One thing I always liked about Halloween was all the specials that come on, and particularly the animated shows. Now, if you watch my videos and you subscribe to my channel, you see that I've done pretty much every Halloween special there was that came down the pike. And the only show that they really put on television now, I mean, at least on regular TV, is the Peanuts special, the Great Pumpkin, which I previously reviewed. That's the only one that's really on TV every year nowadays. And they just aired it. They usually air like the Friday before Halloween. Now, they did it like a week ago, a week and a half ago. They already did. So they did it really, really early, putting the Halloween, the Green Pumpkin show on already. And I don't know why they did it so blasted early. They did so, and they, whatever the reason was, they decided to do it early because of that's in the stores. They had the elimination like on Tuesday night, and that's when Halloween is on Tuesday. So they don't want to postpone it for a half hour to put the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown show on. So they said, "F you, Charlie Brown fans," and decided to put it on early, which is just horrible. But the other Halloween animated shows that used to be on all the time was like Garfield Halloween shows, and I think they pretty much ended airing when the Garfield and Friends Saturday morning cartoon show ended. As soon as that thing ended, they stopped airing the Garfield Halloween show, which is one of the better ones. I mean, other than the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, the Garfield show was just as good, and let me tell you, it's a little bit scarier than the Charlie Brown show. And also not only that, but I think I might have mentioned in my review for the Garfield show, but it's actually a mistake. There was a blooper that's in there. If you catch it, you blink and you miss it. But if you listen carefully, you'll hear it. Twice in that show, Garfield actually was voiced by Lorenzo Lamas, was the voice of Garfield. Not only in the specials, but also in the Garfield and Friends Saturday morning cartoon show series. He said the word "fuck it" twice. That was when a scene when he gets into the old house, and the old guy scares Garfield and Odie, and they run him around in a circle, and you hear Garfield says "fuck it," and then when he gets through more of the story, when the ghosts come into the old house, Garfield says "F it" the second time. So twice you hear him say "F it." If you pay close attention to the show, you will hear it. And also, of course, there were also other shows like Fat Albert. There was Bugs Bunny and shows, and I already reviewed those shows already. So check them out if you haven't seen those videos. And not many people have, because I haven't gotten that. I don't think I've gotten like 20 views on those videos. But they're neither here or there. But the thing that I always remember when I was a kid, Halloween, was getting bombed. And I'm talking about doing drugs or boozing it up. I'm talking about kids who go use eggs and throw eggs at somebody, or use cans of shaving cream and spray it all over people. That bit has died down quite a bit over the last 10-15 years. And I think maybe because they put such a stop on that stuff, particularly stores, because kids, particularly teenagers, usually are the ones who usually do that stuff. And when they go to stores, that's when, of course, they go in and buy, shaving cream and eggs. Stores, there's several chain, not only individual stores, but store chains. Like Walmart or Kmart or Target, whatever. Stop selling eggs and shaving cream to people who are under, I think under 18 or under 21. Stop selling that stuff to kids during the month of October, or even September, for 2 months before Halloween, so that way they won't stock up, like say 2 months in advance for eggs and shaving cream, so that way they won't bomb people. And I think nowadays maybe you will see somebody using silly string, maybe, and spraying around, and you see the remnants of it on the sidewalks. But for eggs and shaving cream, you don't really see that anymore. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw teenagers going at it, or having an egg throwing fight or a shaving cream spray fight or whatever, on Halloween. I can't remember. It's been like over 30 years since I've seen it. So there's another thing that really has pretty much ended, because they try to make Halloween as safe as possible nowadays. Like I mentioned earlier, with the trick-or-treating in the lobbies of my co-op, or doing this organized trick-or-treating, so that way the kids won't go into strange buildings or knock on strange people's doors and stuff like that. I mean, that's just a bunch of crap. Especially nowadays, you have people who are, like sex offenders or whatever. They want to stay away from people who are maybe is listed on a website someplace. But the whole point of Halloween is not going on to strangers' doors and going trick or treat and getting free candy. But Halloween is certainly different than it was, let's say, even 15, 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, than it is today. Of course, the biggest tradition that we have, at least here in New York City, which I'm from, is the annual Halloween parade down in Greenwich Village, which is over 30 years old, and it's, you see all kinds of weirdos in the village all the time. Not just on Halloween, but all the time. And it's Greenwich Village, which is in the area where New York University is. You see a bunch of weirdos down there anyway. All 365 days of the year you see weirdos. But once a year they get dressed up, and it used to be, the parade used to go through Washington Square Park, which is really literally in the heart of the village. Now it's on 6th Avenue from Spring Street to like 20th Street, I think. But that's really fun, and a couple of times it aired on local TV on Channel 11, but most of the time it has been airing, like, for the last 20 years or almost 20 years on New York 1, which is, you have to have like Time Warner Cable or Spectrum to see it. And I don't know if they're airing it this year or not. I'm not sure yet, because like I said, doing this like a week before, but we'll find out in a week if it's going to be airing on New York 1 or not. But to have these parades, which is kind of fun, and it's always joy. You have to be at the starting line and you march up 6th Avenue. You'll be at Spring Street and 6th Avenue, and you march out for like 20 blocks or 30 blocks, or how long the length is. And there was a couple of times it was almost canceled because they didn't get the funding. One year it was canceled because of Hurricane Sandy, and I didn't think it was appropriate to have the parade after the after the hurricane and everything. But it's always fun to see what kind of weirdos come out for those parades, and the interesting kind. You always have one guy dressed up as a New York City Metro card that you use for the buses, the subways and buses in New York. Or you have somebody dressed up as, you have 4 people dressed up for the Wizard of Oz. One as Dorothy, one as the Tin Man, Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion. Or you may have another person dressed up as the Wicked Witch. And then you have really interesting stuff. And actually, since Michael Jackson died, you always have, I think even before that, Michael Jackson died, people dressed up like a bunch of zombies doing the Thriller dance. You always have people dressed up as Ghostbusters. And the Halloween parade. But it's always fun to watch that. If you have cable, or if you happen to catch, maybe see like a live feed on Facebook or YouTube or something, like Facebook Live or something. But that's pretty much what I have to say about my Halloween commentary for 2017. Please click on the video, feel free to comment on. Please subscribe to my channel, please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my videos on my YouTube channel at RowdyC.com, it's all WDY, and then at C.com, there's a homepage to Rowdy Reviewer, Chris Lee Moore, and please check out all of his videos on his website as well. Thanks for watching, catch you next time.